What is up, math superstars? In this edition of Mr. Peterson Presents, I'm bringing to you Objective 7.4. This is proportions and proportional reasoning. So we got some fill in the blanks. We have a few examples here, so let's get to it. So when we have two ratios that are, the fill in the blank is equivalents, they form what we call a proportion. So in a proportion, your fill in the blank is a cross product is the product of the numerator of one ratio and the denominator of another ratio. So we can use this to help us to identify if our two ratios are proportional. So here we're given these two fractions. We need to figure out if this proportion is true, if these two fractions are equivalent. So what we can do is we could cross multiply. And so when we do that, 3 times 2 gives us 6, and 1 times 6 gives us 6. And if these two numbers, that cross product, if these two numbers are equal, we could say that 1/2 is proportional to 3/6. So now what happens if we have to solve for either the numerator or the denominator. So our first step is that we could cross multiply. So we can do x times 5. We can write that as 5x. Then we bring down our equal sign. And then let's go ahead and cross on the other side. 1 times 60 is 60. So in doing so, we set up here our one-step equation. So now let's go ahead and solve for x using inverse operations. So you guessed it, we have 5x here. If we divide both sides by 5, we can say that x, after these cross out, is going to be equal to 12. So we can say that 1/5 is equivalent to 12 60ths. And so once again, the recap is that if we have to solve for a variable, we don't know what a value is, we could cross multiply, set up our equation, and then solve for x. So let's go ahead and try this example right here. So we have 10 over x is equal to 2.5 over 4. So in doing this, let's go ahead and follow out our steps. So our very first step here is let's go ahead and cross multiply. So we have 2.5 times x gives us 2.5x is going to be equal to 10 times 4 gives us 40. So we cross multiplied there. We set up our equation. And now let's go ahead and solve for x. So we can go ahead and divide both sides here by 2.5. We're just trying to isolate x. So x is going to be equal to 40 divided by 2.5 gives us 16. So we can say that 10 over 16 is equivalent to 2.5 over 4. And now you're also going to see examples of proportions in word problems. And so here we go. So we have an 8-ounce glass of orange juice contains 72 milligrams of vitamin C. How much juice does 60 milligrams of vitamin C cost? So in order to set this proportion up, we're trying to figure out, we have ounces over milligrams needs to be equal to ounces over milligrams. So let's go and fill in the information that we know. We know that 8-ounce glass contains 72 milligrams. So you can see I'm writing that out as a ratio, is equal to, and we know that we have 60 milligrams, and we got to figure out how many ounces of juice contain 60 milligrams. So let's go ahead and write that as x. And then what we could do now is we could go ahead and cross multiply here. So we have 72x is equal to 480. Let's go and divide both sides by 72. So we have x is going to be equal to 480 divided by 72, gives us right about 6, and we can round that to the nearest 10th place, 6.7. So we can say that 6.7 ounces of juice is going to contain our 60 milligrams of vitamin C. So now we have this other weird example here. We have the skull length of a crocodile is proportional to its body length. And so we could write this out, skull over body is going to be equal to skull over body. So we're just writing out the words so we can set up our proportion correctly. So in one species, a 6-foot crocodile has a 2-foot skull. So we can put 2 on the top because that's the skull and the body is 6 feet. So we're going to estimate the length of a crocodile of that same species that has a 3.5 foot skull. So let's put 3.5 on the top and X on the bottom. We're trying to figure out how long this crocodile is. I do not want to meet this crocodile. Sounds kind of scary to me. So here we go. So we have 3.5 times 6 gives us 21 is going to be equal to 2x. So we just set up our equation. Let's get x by itself. So we're going to divide both sides by 2. So we say that x, which is our body right here, this body, we're talking about an 11.5 foot body here. So all we did was we set up our proportion, we cross multiplied to figure out and to solve for x. We came out x is 11.5. So your objective today, go and flip over to the classwork, go and check it out. So our first section, you're just going to figure out if the fractions are proportional. Then you're going to be solving for x, and then you're going to have a series of word problems to solve for today.